So I want to run through the total phosphorus procedure. I'm going to use the same test kit that I would use for SRP or orthophosphate, but I'm going to do the digestion step right now. So I've turned the DRB 200, which is our digester, on, and the left side of it is set for 100 degrees centigrade, and it's already heated up. So once we've completed this initial reaction, we'll put that in the DRB 200 for 1 hour. So first step is we need to remove the protective foil. We can do that with gloves. And the foil is protective because there's a dry reagent in the cap that I'm going to use for step 1. So first, I'm going to carefully take the cap off, put it back in the holder, and then I'm going to take my 1 milliliter pipette. So you would normally replace pipette tips or make sure that they're clean between samples. And I'm going to use the unfiltered sample, number 1. Mix it up. This one definitely has some organic matter that needs to be more evenly distributed in the sample. And then I'm going to take 1 and 2 milliliters of sample. So here's 1. And there's no reagent in this vial. The reagent, or no liquid reagent. The reagent is all in the dosing cap. Okay, so that was 1 milliliter. And then there's 2 milliliters. Okay, and then I need to flip the dosing cap, so on the side that has the solid reagent, and screw it on very tightly because we don't want this reaction to not happen. And then I need to shake the cap. So 2 or 3 times, that'll get that solid dry reagent out of the cap and allow the initial reaction to be set up. So we've got our digester set up, and we're going to put the sample in the digester for an hour. Okay, hi all. So we've completed our 60 minutes of digestion with the total phosphorus sample. So we're going to remove that sample from the digester. So at this point, all of the organic phosphorus should have cooked, and we should just have inorganic phosphorus. And so we're going to basically run through that same SRP orthophosphate test. So after we've taken it out of the reactor, we're supposed to let it cool to room temperature. So we've done that. And we're going to pipette 0.2 milliliters of reagent B into the cooled vial. Top back on reagent B, and then the next step in this procedure, the orthophosphate inorganic phosphate procedure, is to use a reagent that's in a second dosing cap. So we'll screw that on. And then we'll invert 2 or 3 times. And then we let that sit for 10 minutes for the reaction to complete, and then we'll measure the total phosphorus, which remember now, because this is an unfiltered sample and we digested the organic, this should have organic plus whatever inorganic dissolved phosphorus or phosphates were in the water. So it should be a greater reading than the ones we saw for SRP only from the filtered water samples.
All right, so it has been 10 minutes since our vial came out of the digester and we let it get to room temp, and then we added the what's the name of the cap? The doxycap?
Doxycap, yeah.
Yes, to get the reaction to go so that we can read this in spec for total phosphorus now, since the organic phosphorus will be decomposed and included in the measurement. So we can put this in the spec, and it's reading the barcode, so it knows that we're okay. So you can see this is definitely higher than that initial negative reading we had for inorganic SRP. So that's a good sign. And this includes the organic and the inorganic. So since this is 0.405 milligrams per liter phosphorus, that gives us an indication that we have a lot more organic phosphorus than we do inorganic phosphorus, because the organic is probably making up the bulk of this reading.
There's a lot of algae in the water sample, so that's probably what we saw.
So that makes sense, because our filters, we had a lot of green that we saw, so that's a lot of algae, for example, that was in our water sample. Remember, this came from the unfiltered water sample. So that's a good indication, just that color that we saw, that there's a lot of organic phosphorus to be found, which we see here.